Hello friends, my name is Abhay Kumar and today I am going to discuss the issue of the revolutionary ideas and ideology of Shahid-e-Azam Bhagat Singh. And with me today Sayyid Irfan Habib, who is a historian and who has written a book on Bhagat Singh in 2007, and he has been engaging with Bhagat Singh and his revolutionary comrades and their ideology. So sir, thank you very much for joining.
Thank you, thank you.
Before I take up the questions, let me introduce my guest today. Sayyid Irfan Habib is a historian of science and he was earlier Abul Kalam Azad Chair at the National Institute of National Planning and Administration that is based in Delhi. And he has basically been interested in philosophy of science and also history of science. He has written several books. Some of them are Situating the History of Science, Dialogues with Joseph Needham, Domesticating Modern Science and Social History of Science and Culture in Colonial India, Social History of Science in Colonial India. And when the issue of terrorism and jihad came up, he also engaged with the questions of jihad and istihad, and he tried to underscore the progressive content within the Islam against all kinds of Islamophobia. His latest book is Indian Nationalism, The Essential Writings, and Professor Habib was just talking about that this book is also getting printed in Hindi by Raj Kamal. But today we are going to take up the questions of revolutionary ideas of Bhagat Singh with reference to his book To Make the Deaf Hear, Ideology and Program of Bhagat Singh and His Comrades, which was printed in 2007 by 3 essays. At that time I was in Jamia, and sir, if you could recall, I joined the discussion which was held. At that time Nambar Singh was also there.
Of course, of course.
So I am ready with my question.
Sure.
Thank you very much, sir, for joining and finding time to discuss Bhagat Singh and his revolutionary ideology. Friends, we know that the whole country and outside of it is celebrating the martyr day of Bhagat Singh. He was hanged to death at the age of 23 on March 23rd, 1931. He didn't write much. His writings on atheism and also what should be the future of India, then the questions of caste and also untouchability, communalism, these are there. And then Professor Habib has also included the party program, the manifesto and other writings of his comrades in the book. And we are trying to understand what Bhagat Singh stood for. So sir, the first question is that yesterday I was in JNU and I found that the students organizations associated with left, they were also remembering Bhagat Singh. And then those who were affiliated to right-wing organizations, they were also doing some program. And I asked a left activist that how could Bhagat Singh be hero of both left and right? And that activist who talked to me, she said that they could only do some puja and archana of Bhagat Singh, but they will never associate themselves with the revolutionary ideas of Bhagat Singh. So, why there is so much appropriation, sir?
You see, the right, as we all have seen over the years,
Sir, please speak up.
the right always tries to appropriate the nationalist part of Bhagat Singh.
Okay.
And that is not true about Bhagat Singh alone. That is true about Subhash Chandra Bose. That is true about all other appropriated icons.
Patel also?
Patel a little different, but the revolutionary icons,
Bhagat
particularly
Singh and
revolutionary icons,
yes,
who actually
and
invoke huge support among the young, because they are seen as great romantic revolutionaries who actually wanted to create a new India through violence and not through Gandhian methods. That's how. So they want to make a distinction that this nationalism is a vibrant, aggressive nationalism, and Bhagat Singh represents that. What ideas he represents, they have no concern with that because they can't. They find a huge distance between what Bhagat Singh stood for and what they espouse today, because there is no match at all. So on that count, they cannot go beyond martyrdom. They have to just garland him on 23rd March and forget him the whole year. My issue is, and which I raise again and again, that all those who honestly want to follow Shaheed Bhagat Singh should follow him beyond Shahadat. Shahadat can be celebrated on a day when he was hanged. Fine, I have no issues with that. I also revere that. Point is, the intellectual legacy which he left behind, the ideas he left behind, those ideas are alive even today. Bhagat Singh is dead, but Bhagat Singh is alive in his ideas. Only when we plan to decide to follow what he wrote. If we don't follow anything which he wrote, then we kill Bhagat Singh every day. You know, if we are interested in killing him every day, then okay, remember him only on one day, 23rd March. That's what we should not do. We should follow what he wrote. We should follow what he envisioned for India, what sort of India he wanted. You know, if we have not been able to create that India till
Just
now,
glorification is not enough.
just glorification is not enough of anybody.
Yes.
You know, even Gandhi.
Yes.
You know, forget about Bhagat Singh. Even Gandhi. You know, mere spectacles of Gandhi on a Swachh Bharat campaign is not enough. Gandhi was more than that. You know? So
Sir, I was also interested in Bhagat Singh, and some time back I did some study on the writers who wrote about Bhagat Singh, and I found one Shiv Burma. I think
Shiv Burma,
he
yeah.
was. I think he was also jailed along with the Bhagat Singh.
he was a comrade of Bhagat Singh. Yes.
Yes, and he said in his book that Bhagat Singh, the man and his ideas, which was, I think it was written by Gopal Thakur, and Shiv Burma wrote the introduction, where he said that Bhagat Singh was not a Marxist in full sense of the term, but he had come very near Marxism towards the end of his days. Professor Bipan Chandra has also said that he made quick journey from, let's say, Gandhian nationalism to revolutionary terrorism. So, the Hindu right, we already know, they are also appropriating it. So, my question is why there is so much confusion, so much disagreement about what Bhagat Singh stood for?
You see, I don't see any confusion. Confusion is created by people who look at him with different interests. You know, right has very different interest, very different political interest. So they want to see him exactly in the same manner in which they want him to be seen. So we can understand that. So there is no confusion at all. We all know why the right wants to actually see him the way they see him. Within the left, there is no one left. You know, left is also not a monolith. You know,
Yes, yes.
There are so many versions of Marxism, of leftism, if you call it, and all of them want to appropriate Bhagat Singh, want to be seen with Bhagat Singh, and most of them have a general understanding that Bhagat Singh stood for socialism. Bhagat Singh stood.
But what do you mean by the allegations, or you could say the statement, that he was not Marxist in full sense, he came close to Marxism?
You see, these are all very silly things to say. We don't realize that Bhagat Singh died at the age of 23
Yes.
and few months. He had 6 or 7 years of active political life,
Yes. Yes.
out of which 2.5 years or 3 years were spent underground and in prison. You know, which means he only had 3 to 4 years open active life. Now, in that period, the man, despite such a small span of his life, a man who was living under pressure all his life, what little life he had, who was deprived of so many facilities to pursue research, writing, study, etc. Despite that, he exposed himself to the world, you know, by getting material to read from wherever he could lay his hands on, even in prison.
And you gave reference to your book, so many.
Yeah, absolutely. So there is a reading list. Whenever people like his friends like Jaydev Gupta, who was from Meerut, whenever he used to go to meet him in Lahore, the only request he made was that get me these books. He used to give him a list, you know, and I have given that list in my book also.
Yes.
So whosoever went to see him, the only request he made was kindly get me those books from the Dwarkadas library. You know, get these books from Ramakrishna and Sons, the bookseller. You know, these were the two places from where they used to get excess books, because it was not easy to actually find books in those times. Most of the literature, the left literature, was banned. You know? It was not allowed to
even
enter.
Bipan Chandra wrote that
Yeah.
it was very difficult task to get material at that
Yeah,
time.
yeah. So despite those difficulties, one should appreciate whatever he was, you know, whatever understanding he could acquire of Marxism. And I don't call him just Marxism. He was a great admirer of Irish revolutionaries as well. You know, he has himself accepted that he used to chant Gita mantra in his early days. You know, he belonged to Arya Samaji family. You know,
No, but he became very critical of
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yes.
that's what you see. He's a mix of so many things. He evolved
So
himself.
you mean to say that too much allegations and too much
No, that is-
statements
that is
about
stu-
whether
that
he
is-
was full Marxist or less Marxist, that is useless.
That is very stupid actually of anybody who does it, because one should not do it. Because somebody who spent such little time in this world and did so much that we still remember him every year, all the time, and who wrote so much, you know, in this little life, we should admire that, you know, instead of unnecessarily trying to say whether he was a Marxist or not. Lots of people say that why he didn't join the Communist Party of India, which was founded in 25. Arey bhai, in 1925, after that, he was busy organizing his
And
own
the
youth.
party was also being banned.
Yeah, party was also being banned. If there were communist conspiracy cases going on, you know, Kanpur Bolshevik conspiracy case, Meerut conspiracy case. So many cases were already on by the British government. So they were absolutely silly to say that. So I always remind people.
So we should leave that question.
Yeah, that question.
Yes.
See Bhagat Singh, how he is. No, he has left behind.
And even, sir, in academics, so many intellectuals are fighting among themselves that,
That is
okay,
right.
you are not Marxist, I am more Marxist,
See,
something like that.
I find it absolutely
Useless.
useless, because I always say that don't go and read my book. First go and read what Bhagat Singh wrote.
Yes.
You know, understand him through his work,
Okay.
and then come to my work.
Okay.
If I have done anything wrong, if I have interpreted him wrongly, then correct me.
Sir, the second question is linked to what you have just said. Many people have argued, I don't know how far it is correct, that after the Shahadat of Bhagat Singh in 1931, the ruling party, which ruled after independence, they had their own interest that they should not remember Bhagat Singh, because Bhagat Singh's idea was to end exploitation of man by man.
Yeah.
But generally, it is also alleged, I don't know how far it is correct, that even the left parties, they were also very, what should I say, very slow to reach Bhagat Singh. And they, and this allegation is there, that when the right wing realize that there is anti-colonial content in Bhagat Singh, he was dying for the motherland, that content can be used for their brand of nationalism, then the left parties, what should I say, went to Bhagat Singh. Is it correct?
To some extent, I don't disagree with it completely, because the left, the mainstream left parties, the United Communist Party of India and the two factions of the communist parties, they always they were always wary of Bhagat Singh, whether to stand with him or not,
Why?
because they
He
found
was not in party.
not only that, he was not in party, that's a different thing. The only thing that he was associated with violence, you know, with killing, with all sorts of
But
charges.
sir, if you read his pamphlet, Why I Am an Atheist,
That is-
he said clearly.
I am not saying this.
Yes.
This is what people thought about him in the beginning. No, when within the left, the CPI ML came forward, ISA was formed. These people took Bhagat Singh as their icon.
Okay.
No? So when this happened, and this is my perception, and I have seen it happening in front of my eyes, then other left parties thought that, oh, he is going to become a left icon of a different left. So why should we be deprived of it?
Okay.
So they became more active, and for good of all of us, because all of us should join in appropriating Bhagat Singh and pushing
So
him
they
forward.
realized wisdom of late, and
So they came
we
little
should
late.
welcome it.
We should welcome it, and
Yes.
they should have done it before.
Yes.
Good, they took some time, but doesn't matter. if they come forward and
Sir, it is
take you
very
on.
interesting point
Yeah.
that the left party, as you have said, some left parties, they had problem with Bhagat Singh because of his revolutionary methods.
Yeah.
But he wrote it very clearly. I was just reading
Yeah,
the
yeah,
pamphlet.
yeah.
He said that mass movements should be based on non-violence
Yeah.
and they should be taken up in most of the cases.
Absolutely.
Violence is needed when it is really
You see,
needed.
for him, like for Gandhi, ahimsa was a fetish.
Yes.
It was religion for him.
Yes.
So anything away from ahimsa is not his.
But sir, it can also be critiqued.
It
Perry Anderson has said.
it has been critiqued. So, no, I'm saying within the Congress party,
Okay.
people like Maulana Azad, about whom I'm finishing a book recently, these days. He was a Gandhian when he came into the Congress party in 1920, and he accepted Gandhian method. But he said, for me, faith in ahimsa, faith in non-violence was, or belief in non-violence was not like religious faith. You know? And that's true for Nehru, that's true for Subhash Chandra Bose, because all of them, despite the fact that they stayed with Gandhi all their lives, they had disagreements with him again and again on the issue of violence. They had issues when Chauri Chaura happened. They had issues when these revolutionaries were put behind bars. You know, when they were hanged. Then also Nehru, Bose and others disagreed with Gandhi. Though remained with him, but they expressed their disagreements publicly. Gandhi even reprimanded Nehru many times on this. But he continued with his
And
sympathy.
also violence needs to be seen in larger context.
Yeah,
If
absolutely.
a worker who is not given, let's say, wages, if that person is exploited, that is biggest form of the violence.
Yeah.
Then we attribute violence to any revolutionary.
Yeah.
Sir, in 2016, media reported that Bhagat Singh's family has written to the government saying that Bipan Chandra's book, where he has mentioned that he was a revolutionary terrorist, that should be removed. And I was reading also Ajay Ghosh's work also. He was also in jail along with the Bhagat Singh. He again said the same thing on page number 12 and 13 that Bhagat Singh was not a Marxist. So you see that where the debate is going. So then the question is, do you think that the historians on the side of the left, the progressive historians, should rethink what they have written about Bhagat Singh, what term they have pinned on him?
You see, this issue of terrorism has come up many times. In 1973, a book came out, Socialism in India, in which Bipin Chandra had an article. The first article, I think, which he wrote on the revolutionaries. The title of that article was The History of the Revolutionary Terrorists of the 1920s. Revolutionary terrorists. Revolutionary terrorist. In the article also, he kept on using the word terrorist. In those times, terrorism did not have the same meaning as we have today.
Yes. Anybody who is into the freedom struggle.
I say it again and again. That terrorism, if the family had any issues, you know, with the usage of the word terrorism, then the family would have actually reacted immediately. And his brothers were around till 70s. Kultar Singh was around, Kulbir Singh was around, so many other family members are still there. Nobody had any issues because nobody saw terrorism as, they saw terrorism in its context. The context of the fight against the British.
Terrorist in the eyes of the British Empire is a freedom fighter.
You see, it had a different connotation. Today, terrorism is an ugly word because terrorism has acquired a different meaning. Terrorism is a fight against humanity today. Innocents are killed in the name of terrorism. Whether it is Islamic fundamentalist terrorists who are killing or the white supremacists who are killing people in America every day. So this terrorism is very different. Now, this terrorism has acquired a different meaning. In that context, calling Bhagat Singh a terrorist today, people find problems, which is fine. I have no issues with that. And I have myself used the word revolutionary nationalist. In my book also and in all my writings, I never use terrorists. So the issue is, today we should see what changes the world has gone through. And instead of going back and accusing people like Bipin or anybody else who wrote 30 years back or 40 years back, calling them names, abusing them, that makes no sense.
So you mean to say that what Bipan Chandra wrote,
That was fine in that particular period.
some 30-40 years back,
Not
the
that-
context was very different.
Very different.
And if you
Absolutely.
take up the book today,
Great.
you will use a different term.
Absolutely. I have used it very differently.
So-
Bipin himself will
So
not use it again.
To make mountain out of this molehill is also politically driven.
Totally.
To demonize the left historians.
Totally. People don't see, people don't understand the history, the changes which have taken place, the meanings a particular word has acquired over the years.
So meaning is shifting.
Meaning is shifting, usage of that word is shifting, the whole character has changed. Today terrorist is a different person altogether. We see terrorist as an inhuman being, whosoever he or she is, whether he is killing in the name of religion or he is killing in the name of ideology. He is doing that in a very irrational way. These people were not killing people irrationally.
Okay.
No, they didn't go and blast in
Any crowded area.
any crowded area, killing innocent people.
And bombing.
I am not justifying killing any killing, but it was targeted. Like Saunders was killed. I don't approve that Saunders would have been killed. They themselves regretted that they took a human life, which is not good. The pamphlet which they distributed later on. So it's not that they liked what they did, but the point is, it was not a killing of the innocent people. Today terrorism is killing innocent people. So we have to make a distinction. So all those who are trying to see terrorism in Bhagat Singh's definition by people like Bipin Chandra, etc., are wrong on that count also. If he was a terrorist, he was a terrorist of a different kind. He was not killing innocent people. In any case, we should not use the word terrorism because today terrorism has acquired a different meaning, as I said.
Friends, as I have told you that Irfan Habib Sahab has written a book on Bhagat Singh in 2007, and the book is known as To Make the Deaf Hear, and it was published by 3 essays in 2007. Sir, I was going through the notes which I took from your book, and you have written it there, you have documented it in your book, that revolutionary nationalist or Bhagat Singh and his comrades, they were into fierce dialogue with Gandhi ji and also the Indian National Congress. And on the questions of violence, on the questions of throwing the bomb, there is a huge debate. And what has happened that the revolutionaries have charged Gandhi ji and also the Congress for not going for the complete independence, and also Gandhi ji has been criticized for his compromising attitude, and he said that he is going and knocking at the door of Viceroy for the Dominion status. Another important quotation is that the revolutionaries are alleging that the nationalist leaderships is waging a war on revolutionary rather than on the British Empire. So if you read that statement, what do you have to say?
You see, that is the statement you have made about complete freedom, dominated status, etc. If you go into the history of our freedom struggle and the history of the Congress Party, or history of our freedom fighters from early 20th century onwards, we can see that we did not come to freedom straight away. No, we gradually moved towards complete freedom, the idea of complete freedom. Gandhi himself took the same trajectory. He gradually moved towards complete freedom. While many revolutionaries, it's not just Bhagat Singh. Bhagat Singh comes in 1920s. Even before Bhagat Singh, the revolutionaries of the Ghadar party, Bhagat Singh's own uncle, Ajit Singh, who led the peasant movement in 1907, the year Bhagat Singh was born. they had talked of complete freedom from the early 20th century onwards. You know? And when they were traveling all around the world in exile, they were all talking of complete freedom. The point is, the struggle which was going on within India, we took gradual steps.
Okay.
First was from 1920s onwards, when Gandhi comes into play, into freedom struggle. From 1915 onwards, when he comes here, Champaran happens, and then non-cooperation movement happens. Control over the freedom struggle is totally Gandhian. Gandhi sets the agenda. I'm not questioning what agenda he set, but he had a plan. He knew how he has to take the struggle of freedom forward. You know? And the whole structure was planned, and that structure was followed by the Congress party in almost 90%. Even despite the fact they disagreed with him on so many counts, but they remained within Gandhian fold. You know? And that Gandhian idea was that you have to take gradual steps towards freedom. And he spelled out so many reasons why that has to be gradual, etc. Revolutionaries, when we come to Bhagat Singh, they declared complete independence much before the Congress party. The formal resolution of complete independence takes place in 1928-29. You know, Lahore Congress, and before that, in Madras session of the Congress. Before that, the revolutionaries have already declared complete independence as their objective. You know? Another difference in their fight was that they were actually not fighting for the independence of India alone. They were fighting for, or they were actually espousing, the freedom of all oppressed nations. Fight against imperialism of all hues. British imperialism, German imperialism, European French imperialism, all imperialism all around. Africa, Asia, India, etc. So they had a cosmopolitan internationalist perspective, which came in with the impact of the Marxian thought. Because oppression, the fight against oppression,